on Inconvenience and Phones, written by Taylor Reed. Something showed up in our mailbox not too long ago. A curious envelope featuring a hand-stamped letterhead, The Luddite Club. Inside this welcome surprise was Volume 1, Number 2 of The Luddite Dispatch. I devoured the brief write-up in the glossy, artful bifold and leaned back in my chair, satisfied, realizing the tale it told was worth sharing, perfect for reproducing in Crosshatch's whole field. Soon after, my relaxation was derailed by a question. Would I have to seek permission the way the letter had arrived? Snail mail and all? Bel Air to Brooklyn? Waiting all darn day? Reality is, we've got deadlines to meet. Penning something appropriate, finding an envelope, waiting for delivery to New York City, hoping for their reading, consideration, and positive response, and then waiting for that to make its way back to Bel Air struck me as inconvenient. You might wonder why in the world I'd even begin to entertain such a process. Readers, Luddite is part of their name because it means something. While often used dismissively, the term comes from the name Ned Ludd, the fictional ringleader of the nonfiction folks who rebelled 200 years ago amid England's shift from small-scale weaving operations towards a more automated, mechanized textile industry. They tried to protect what they saw as emblematic of human agency, dignity, and autonomy. How? Smashing and burning the machines they believed threatened their vocations and handwork. Nowadays, the term Luddite refers to anyone who challenges the abuses of technology. I checked out their website. Yes, the Luddite Club has a website. It's pretty bare bones, but it does have an email address, which is what I used to contact them. I waited for a response. And waited, and never heard back from them. The Luddite Club is a nonprofit that grew from the actions of a handful of urban high schoolers determined to buck screen-driven trends. If addiction to smartphones played a significant role in hollowing out social interactions, depleting the ability to focus, and eroding mental health en masse, these teenagers formulated a simple, indirect response. We'll chuck 'em. We'll chuck our smartphones and spend more time together. Despite that stance, I thought any publicity would be welcomed, even if mediated by digital communications and screens. I sat at my computer. I eventually found a copy of the Luddite Club writing archived online. The text appeared in full on the website, the Ted K. archive, but what stuck out was the addendum included with the piece. Notes. Archiving these dispatches on this website was not the decision of the authors. I don't even have access to the full first issue. I disagree with the authors that the text should remain offline. I like the idea of the dispatch being delivered locally by post, but I think, for example, if someone from South Africa wants to research the emergence of tech-critical ideas, they should be able to do so without the club needing to spend $5 of donations in order to send the dispatch all the way from the U.S. Someone had taken an approach similar to mine, trying to take the print edition and amplify it by means of electronic ether. This person had gotten one step further than I did and received a response, albeit a negative one. And then they shared it anyway. I paused and glanced down. Sitting in my lap was my phone, nearing inoperability as its cracked screen formed a widening web. I needed a different one. Maybe my next step was due to inspiration from the young folks who put together the Luddite mailing, and maybe due to the example of my wife Jessie, who's been using a flip phone for about a year. Either way, I decided against getting a new phone. I purchased a used, durable old brick, a Kyocera flip phone. It has been nice. A tether of sorts, a low-grade psychic compulsion, and its associated hum has been severed. One of those things you pick up on only when made aware of its absence. Also, though, it's been inconvenient. Replying to texts takes a lot more poking, concentration, and time. Streaming music is no longer a thing if I'm on the road or in the garage. The piles of cassettes and CDs I used to look right past at yard sales are a main draw now. When driving to new locations, I have to look up the address before leaving the house, which our secondhand GPS can run with if needed. Again, thank you, garage sales. And yesterday, I muddled my way through ordering at a restaurant, taken aback by an establishment that's done away with physical menus completely in favor of having patrons loaded up on their smartphones. Let's see, a pizza shop probably offers a large pepperoni pizza. That ought to do it for our family of 4, right? In the long run, I don't know that the inconvenience is such a bad thing. Regardless of how it feels in the moment, it leads to rebuilding some atrophied muscles. That same inconvenience that rebuilds gives the Luddite Club a platform worth talking about. They aren't just theorizing, they're modeling something, convenient or not. That integrity might have something to do with the Brooklyn Group's 25 new chapters setting up shop across the United States now. What I initially wanted to share with you, the story folded within the Luddite Dispatch, Volume 1, Number 2, is a short travelogue from 2 young women who visited a small, smartphone-free city just south of Paris. Well, smartphone-free isn't quite fair. First, the town of Seine-Port had banned smartphones from being used in public. Second, the legislation was overturned, so the town's mayor, the initial spearheader of the anti-tech efforts, pushed villagers to adhere to the law's spirit voluntarily. In a move emblematic of what Ivan Illich once termed paradoxical counterproductivity, the opposite of what was intended happened. Quote, "The cell phone ban had not liberated Seine-Port. It had in fact started a mini-war and launched a fight over power and overreach. Phones in Seine-Port were not seen by residents as signs of addiction. Using one in public was now a brave act of civil disobedience." Rather than taking in a settled, grounded, quaint, tech-averse Parisian locale, the authors found themselves observing something different. Long-standing change develops from within culture. Think Brooklyn high schoolers and English peasant weavers. If imposed from above, expect the unexpected. I wish I had gotten an email from the Luddite Club offering permission to reproduce their write-up digitally. That would have saved me a lot of time and effort. But they didn't, which might be due to any number of reasons. I like to think it has something to do with how they've chosen to stick to the spirit of their work. I'd also love for the drawbacks of using a flip phone to disappear. But I'm going to make the most of the swift kick to the rear the inconveniences offer. They force me to slow down. They force me to intentionally consider where I'm going. They force me to communicate more over the phone and in face-to-face interactions. And they force me to find better ways to decompress than scrolling while our kids sit and take notice. I'm trying to actively choose, for myself, ideal forms of being forced. That is, those that serve to rebuild or protect something needed.